And Nokia at that time was really a huge company, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were selling 400 million phones a year or something like that. Yeah.
Was it the number one phone company at that time?
by far. I mean, in certain countries like India, we had 78% market share or something.
Really?
It was crazy.
Cool. Can you share some highlights from the Nokia time? Some good times and perhaps some bad times? Or I think a lot of people may not know, the full story and history of Nokia.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there are books on that and people have studied it. The good thing was that I had an amazing team of people. There were around 200 people in my lab, and I still see new innovations come out where everyone goes like, fantastic. But we were doing at that time. Years before it happened, we did things around GPS while running. I mean, that was long before that actually became a reality. We had citizen journalism, if you now look at social media and how everyone is basically generating. I mean, we had so many different things that were ongoing that were just amazing. We were running web servers on mobile phones at that time. I mean, it was really cool stuff. So that was awesome. The challenge was that getting innovations from Nokia research into the business units was problematic, to say the least. Yeah. And the second thing, which most people don't realize, is how easily a company can become a hostage of the business ecosystem in which it operates. And this is, and I'll tell you the story a little bit here. We all know what Apple did. Yeah, they came out with the App Store and the mobile phone and the whole business model around that. They basically took the operators over a barrel and basically said, take it or leave it. These are our terms, right? What most people don't know is that years before, Nokia tried to do something similar.
Really?
With App Store and basically creating that scale. And this was in the age that all the operators had their own closed garden solutions. Vodafone had its own, other operators had their own, right? And the operators basically told Nokia, you have a choice. Either you push this App Store thinking and this content thinking and these ringtones, you remember there was a big thing at that time as well, forward, and we stop buying your phones.
Really?
Or you stop doing that stuff and we keep buying your phones. Your choice. I mean, bluntly put, a little bit black and white, but that was basically how it was presented.
Blackmailing basically Nokia too.
Yeah, but that is when and that's when you are held hostage by your ecosystem. Yeah, right. And now Apple comes in. The operators don't have any leverage over Apple because Apple has no existing business with the operators. And of course, the iPod had been the big hit that everyone realized. And they realized that this was going to be a big thing too, because, I mean, everything Steve Jobs touched by and large, except the Newton maybe, turned into gold. So the operators didn't have a choice. And then you get into a situation. You have 3-4 operators in the country. Apple says initially, we will only go with one. Yeah. It's either going to be you or it's going to be one of the others. You choose. But these are our terms. Yeah. And Apple was not held hostage by the ecosystem. And could therefore execute and create a transition in the industry that Nokia could never accomplish. I think that that's one perspective. There are many other stories and many other perspectives, and I don't know what's happening online, but I mean, I could well see that many people have different opinions.
But I can see the similarity between like Spotify as well, and they, or at least other music services before that, were basically held hostage by the record labels who had all the power at that time.
Yes.
But still being able to persist and go through and say, we're going to do this anyway, is something that very few companies, I think, have the...
And once you have an existing business with a set of players and you are publicly traded and you don't hit your quarterly numbers, your days are counted, right? Yeah. I mean, so you don't have a choice. And this is what I mean, that in many industries, companies are held hostage by the other players in the ecosystem. And what you then see is that rather than an individual company getting disrupted and the whole ecosystem continuously evolving, you then get that the whole ecosystem freezes and that the ecosystem as a whole gets disrupted. Now, and at least that is the theoretical concept. I don't have good examples there, but I mean, why is fintech so big? Because banking is, of course, a bit of a frozen dinosaur industry, right? Yeah, right? Sorry for all the bankers out there. I apologize. But I mean, if you look at the amount of overhead that is existing in that industry, I think it's crazy. And to be honest, I mean, you work now for the government, but even in many government places, because there is no competition, you also see that there's very little innovation.
Yeah.